Hey there, friends, and welcome to episode 242 of Just the Zoo of Us. In this week's episode, I got to talk with a naturalist and birder about some of the brightest and boldest members of the corvid family, the tenacious and charming blue jays. We are going to discuss the audacity of jays and their amazing hawk impressions, what to put in your bird feeder, and why you might want to add a little bit of spice, why blue jays aren't actually blue, and so much more. You may have noticed that this is another back-to-back guest episode. That is because this episode is going up for Black Birders Week. Dara is going to tell us more about what that means and how you can be a part of it during this episode. If you are missing the sound of Christian's voice this week, I have good news for Maximum Fun members. A bonus episode is going up on Friday, and it is about a very special animal from a very special video game series called the Deathclaw. If you know, you know. That's going to be going up on Friday, so please do stay tuned for that. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the episode. Just the Zoo of Us presents Blue Jays with Dara Miles Wilson. Hello, everybody. This is Ellen Weatherford. I'm here with Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast. I have a brand new friend for you all today. This is Dara Miles Wilson. Say hello.
Hello, all listeners. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited to talk about our amazing little bird that I feel like is probably like an iconic bird that most people are familiar with, may have even been a spark bird for a lot of people. Before we get into our bird for today, I would love to talk about you a little bit. Derek, could you let our friends listening know what got you into your work with birds?
Absolutely. So I got into birds, I want to say by accident. Birds weren't even my first wildlife love. Technically, wildcats were, but we're just going to go with frogs. Frogs are like my real first love, amphibians. My first job out of college, I was given an opportunity to work someplace where there were just research scientists everywhere. And my roommate happened to be an ornithologist, and he happened to see that I was curious. I was curious in what he was doing. So he invited me mist netting one day. And mist netting, for anybody who's not familiar, it's the process of setting up nets with the intention of capturing wildlife, either birds, maybe bats. In this case, we were capturing birds. So that was my first experience in the birds. And I've been watching birds, but just handling birds for microsurgery so we can study them. And ever since then, I've just been really fascinated I love how birds affect me, and I love how birds affect other people when they start getting into birding. I've gotten my family members into it and just seeing that spark finally happen. So things like that, because I'm not a scientist, things like that really get people engaged and interested in something that they've never really been interested in before. That's my jam, and that's what I really do.
I like that you mentioned that getting hands-on with them, right? Working in the mistness. And I know not everybody is going to have an opportunity like that to be hands-on with birds, because, if you are not in the right context to be doing that sort of thing, leave birds alone, right? This is a sort of setting where you are professionals and know, are handling them appropriately and stuff. But, when you get to interact with an animal so closely and you get to feel it, right? I feel like you get to really just connect with it.
Mm-hmm. And I know we're talking about blue jays, but if I can say a very quick story
Please.
On a wild bird that I happened to handle last week. I was driving and there was an owl on the road. It's a barred owl, not an owl, an adult barred owl. So it's not like a fledgling that maybe fell out of the nest or is trying to figure out what's going on. No, this is an adult injured barred owl that almost, if I hadn't come to a screeching halt, I would have run over it. So I immediately hop out the car, approach it. It won't fly away. So we know that this is an injured bird. Long story short, I capture it, put it in my dog's crate when I get home, contact wildlife people, give it a night to rest, go out for work, come back, the bird flew away because I left my garage door open. So it just needs some time to rest.
He's like, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Just wanted some attention.
Exactly. And to your point, just to wrap that up, there's an intention behind this. There's something people are lucky enough if they're able to see a barred owl. So it's not just seeing the barred owl, but being up close and personal, holding it, actually feeling this is how much it weighs, looking at the head movement. That's a once in a lifetime type of experience. It's like, if I'm lucky, I can do that again. But it was really incredible. So just wanted to emphasize that point. Like, yo, wildlife is out here. It's wild.
And when you get to like interact with a bird, you can feel like the fragility of them, right? Because that bird has to be putting a lot of trust in you in that moment, because they're so like fragile and delicate, but also strong at the same time, where if they don't want you to be holding them, they will make sure it is not so.
Absolutely.
I did want to back up a little bit, because you said that you started with frogs. And it's maybe not like the biggest jump ever to go from like frogs to birds, but what got you into frogs? Why did we start with frogs?
Well, to be honest, when I went to university, I essentially went to school for public policy, and I got my degree in like international relations. So not really science-based at all. But I realized in the middle of my college experience, this is going to burn me out. I don't know if I want to do this necessarily. I need to start figuring out some other things. I ended up in a wildlife refuge in Bolivia, walking mountain lions. And when I came back, I felt incredible, like reverse culture shock it was really hard to just kind of be back here, where it's just like, I feel like I've opened my third eye, more or less. So I ended up, because I was in school in Washington, D.C., I just went down to the zoo to start working there. And it was in the Amazonia exhibit, because I spent time in Latin America and in the Amazon. I was in the Amazonia exhibit, and there was this exhibit on frogs, and I learned about the Panamanian golden frog, which upsets me still to this day, that we have amphibians, which are really important, like essentially going through COVID, what we went through, just a horrible disease ravaging global populations. And it's not that people don't care, people don't know. Why? Because the panda's so cute. So it's just a little upsetting, because this is also an animal creature worthy of conservation, of care, and it's functionally extinct in the wild. So why don't more people know about it? That's how I got into frogs. I really dove into that, asked my supervisor, what more can I do? That's how I ended up in Panama, working and living in Panama, doing some frog conservation. And it was there that I met my roommate, who was in the birds. I know it's a lot like this. I try to be as concise as possible.
I mean, we've talked to so many people on here who have had very nonlinear science journeys. But also you mentioned, working in like international policy and things like that. That is a very, very helpful background to have when you're coming into conservation work, right? Because you can understand the ecology and you can understand the biology all day long, but like you also need to have that background with the human element to like get the work done.
Exactly. Yes. And that was my biggest complaint too when I first started falling into science, because I always say I didn't fall in love with science or the outdoors until like my early 20s. Why is that? Is that my fault, or is that maybe where were the people who I should have been looking up to? Like, where was that? Or maybe where's the communication coming from, either books or TV? Why? I just feel like there's a huge disconnect between like the sciences or the scientists and the people. How do we fix that?
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the reason that we got linked up for this episode was because Black Birders Week is coming up, which I think is a really awesome effort to increase the representation and the connection between the scientists and the people who like need to see themselves reflected in the scientists too. Could you let our friends listening know a little bit about Black Birders Week and how you got involved in it?
Absolutely. Black Birders Week is a joyful initiative that began in 2020, and I say joyful because it wasn't always something joyful. In all honesty, this festival and the celebration of Black people in the outdoors, it started because of something pretty terrible. Something that could have been a lot worse than it was, but it was still pretty horrendous to watch. And what I'm referring to is the New York Central Park incident in which a Black man, Christian Cooper, was out birding in the Ramble. And he saw an individual with a dog, an off-leash dog, in an area where their dog needed to be leashed. There are other areas where they can run around off-leash, but they're in an area where the dog needed to be leashed. Christian Cooper, he asked this lady to leash her dog, and instead it escalated to something pretty frightening. And the thing that was so interesting about this is a lot of times as a Black individual, I'm Black. I know a lot of the listeners, if you can't tell, I'm Black. But I've been complaining about safety in the outdoors or certain things that a lot of Black individuals identify with. We've been saying these things for years, decades even. But it's another thing to see it. So that incident, horrendous as it was, I'm grateful it happened because it allowed us all to see what is happening. And so we know, like, no, actually, this is a real problem that we face. Like, we're facing issues, discrimination in the outdoors, discrimination in open spaces, lack of access to open spaces. What does this all mean? And then not to mention just like a few months before, a Black man just jogging just jogging and looking around, is gunned down, executed. So this is, at the time, 2020, which was a very, very stressful time, not just because of COVID, but because of so many other things happening, not just in the United States, but in the world. This idea was born from the brainchild of like a handful of individuals who essentially were not having it, and like, we're done having this. We need to show that we are out here, and we need to really push forward that we are out here and we're here to stay and that we belong out here. What started first as the proposal was for a day quickly became a week of purely online engagements. Because mind you, again, this is 2020, the heat of the pandemic. And now here we are in 2024. Now we've transitioned to online events, in-person events. At the time when I first found out about Black Birders Week as a spectator, I was living in Florida, and I myself was going through incredible discrimination, actually facing the outdoors. I even eventually I had to move Florida eventually because it was kind of so bad. At the time when I'm going through these things and I see all these Black individuals, and mind you, I'd never met in my life yet another Black birder, to see this it literally changed my life. It probably saved my life. It was something that I'd never seen before. I'd never felt before. It gave me so much confidence. It inspired me to do more of what I was doing, but in a bigger way even, and like to connect with others who I didn't even know were there. So I'm forever grateful for this week in particular, because some of my best friends now I met in 2020 after Black Birders Week happened, because now we know each other exist. And that's what I will say is, for me, the biggest impact. Now I know that there are others. Like, we are out here and we exist, and we're all kind of similar. We're all kind of quirky, nerdy, silly. I like bones. One of my really good friends is like, he's into paleontology and birds and stuff too. So the interest is there. I just didn't know we were there.
So Black Birders Week this year, the theme, I suppose, is corvids, which is very exciting because what an incredible group of birds to talk about. So while, yes, when people think corvids, people probably think of crows and ravens, and we've talked about crows and ravens on this podcast, but there's a little bit of a standout group that is just a little razzle-dazzle in the corvid family. That is the jays. The quirky, funky little guys with attitude. Dara, could you introduce us to jays?
Of course, but first, a little razzle dazzle. What jay have you ever seen and not been like, wow? Wow. And I mean for East Coast and West Coast, because I'm on the East Coast, so I have the blue jay. But man, like the Stellar's jay, I've seen it once, and like, whoa, I was conversing with somebody who's based on the West Coast, essentially, like, man, I wish we had blue jays. And I'm like, I wish we had Stellar's jays. They're just, no matter what, they're incredibly dynamic bird.
I'm so glad you said that, because I wanted to tell you my story of the first time I saw a Stellar's jay.
Please do.
I moved here to the West Coast last year, but before that we visited California. We were out in California in the Pinnacles National Park, and we were just out enjoying the silence and seeing little California scrub jays flying around. And I'm just like, wow, this is incredible. I love this. And then I look up at a tree just above me is a beautiful black and sort of bluish bird I've never seen before. Has an adorable little crest. So cute. I'm just marveling at it. It's so cute. I'm taking pictures. It immediately poops on my shoulder instantly. And we had just gotten there, so I had to walk around with this huge poop spot on my shirt for like 2 hours after that.
That's great. That is...
Immediately pooped on me. That was my introduction to Stellar's jays.
Welcome to California. Wow.
It felt lucky. It felt lucky to me.
Yeah, you chose me. You chose me. You could have pooped on anybody here, but you chose me.
I'm blessed. Truly a Disney princess moment at that moment.
Exactly.
And we also saw scrub jays, which, you know, having lived in Florida, did you get to see the scrub jays in Florida?
No, because scrub jays they're central and southeast Florida, correct? Yes. I was in the Panhandle, so I was unable to see the scrub jay.
The scrub jays are so personable. Like, they will fly right up to you.
I hear this.
They are so, like, unconcerned with you at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
So jays I think they're very eye-catching, right? They're noticeable, and they have the personality behind it. Blue jays in particular, people who watch birds or who maybe put out bird food, they kind of have a polarizing, I think, reputation.
I can understand why. So blue jays are my favorite boisterous bird. That might be exactly why somebody might not like the bird, because like I like blue jays because I feel like they're kind of scrappy. they're not afraid to kind of take on a bird that's bigger than them. And then also they're loud and just scrap. It's just giving like loud and I'm not taking it. That's what it's giving for me. Also with the feathers too, it's like, yes, it's giving all of that. Like, so, and just for people to have a visualization of what they look like, blue jays, they're about like 9 to 12 inches long, like 2 feet and about in like wingspan, both males and females. I can't remember the term for when there is no difference. It begins with a D.
Oh, dimorphism.
There we go. Thank you. I know words. I swear I do. But dimorphism, essentially, do the males and females, do they look the same? And in the case of blue jays, they do. So you won't see a difference in their patterns. They're native to the eastern United States. Unfortunately, you're not going to find it on the West Coast unless there's a bird that should not be there at all. These are not migratory birds. So like you're going to see the same birds year round. Though I do believe that there are some corvid species that might come down from Canada a little bit, like in the wintertime, just because it might be a little bit too cold for them there. But otherwise, like blue jays, you will see this is year-round birds. You can enjoy them year-round. One of the things that they're really known for, like the mimicry. And I love that about them. It's a love-hate thing because it's like, oh, there's a red-shouldered hawk somewhere. No, it's not. It's a blue jay. It's a blue jay teasing you. It's like, haha, gotcha.
They're doing it on purpose.
They're doing it on purpose just to throw us off. But these are one of the birds that mimic other birds' calls. And it's for safety. It's for, well, I'm just going to go ahead with safety and everything. It's warn other birds, alert about predators, make their presence known, and deter nonsense from happening and killing them, I suppose.
I'm also very loud to protect myself.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, and like the most, if not like one of the most memorable facts other than the mimicry, these are really, really, really smart birds. They're corvids, i.e. of the Corvidae family. All these birds in this family, there are so many studies and papers produced about the ways that people befriend ravens and crows, and just any bird in the corvid family, you can just pretty much guarantee that this is a problem-solving bird. I'm not talking math problems, but this is a bird that knows how to cache food items and remember where they are. This is a bird that I've seen this. I set out food on my apartment balcony one time, just seeds, and I see a blue jay come through, call off, hey, squawk, squawk. And then one other blue jay comes through and then they feast together. Only bird that I saw do that of all the birds that would visit me on my balcony. So this is just a very smart, when we say bird brains, birds are actually kind of intelligent. It's just their brains look different than ours. Our brains have these grooves, essentially ensure greater elasticity of our brains and jazz like that. Bird brains are smooth and so we thought, oh, maybe it's not just smaller, it cannot retain as much information or it's not as smart. Not necessarily at all the case. And these birds process things a lot. It's really cool. I'm reluctant to go super deep into the biology of them just because, again, I didn't go to school for biology. That's not my vocation. I just really care a lot and I just know how to use the internet. So, but still, nonetheless, I think they're just a really awesome bird that you can really get lost in their presence if they will so allow you.
That's the thing, is it's almost cat-like in the sort of they have to choose you. Mm-hmm. And if this is anyone's first time ever listening to this particular podcast, what we do is we review animals by rating them out of 10 in different categories. And the first category is effectiveness, things built into this animal's body that let it do a good job of the things it's trying to do. Finding their food, not becoming food themselves, ways their body has adapted physically to where they live and doing what they're trying to do. What do you give blue jays out of 10 for effectiveness?
The fact that they can mimic raptors as a defensive mechanism, and they've developed alarm calls. What bird would be a 10? I want to give them a solid 8.4.
That's very precise.
Mm-hmm. A solid 8.4.
What does a blue jay eat?
A variety of arthropods, insects. They're not the types of birds who will eat other smaller birds. So
I bet they thought about it.
Whoa now, these aren't crows. These aren't crows. Okay, they're jays. Okay? All I'm saying is you don't see jays going up and picking apart bodies. You see crows. So, and that can lean into the lore of a different type of corvid crows, but you don't see jays doing that. That's all I'm gonna say.
Maybe they saw the crows doing that and they were like, we're a little better than that.
The shade.
You think the jays were like, I think we can do better. I don't think we need to pick off dead bodies.
Yeah, which is weird because they're not particularly picky birds. Their nesting sites, for example, they're A-okay with repurposing a nest. that may not be theirs. I don't mean hijacking, but just like,
I was about to say, like, how
No.
how willful is this?
No. There's a level to, like, repurposing of other birds' nest. Where, like, bald eagle level of repurposing nest, and anybody who doesn't know,
They'll repurpose other birds' prey too.
Right?
They're like, I'm gonna repurpose that one for myself.
Oh yeah, bald eagles are. We gotta have a sit down and talk with them. But yeah, blue jays aren't very picky. So yeah, and then they eat mostly like plants and insects. I think they dabble, like they tend to eat on the healthier side. I don't know what a healthier insect would be. I've just read that before, that they tend to be healthy eaters and hearty eaters. So get them mealworms.
I feel like a lot of times people who put out like food for bird feeders to watch birds in their backyard or something will often run into this, like, because they'll get frustrated with the blue jays because the blue jays will like bully all the other birds. So like, I mean, is this an audacity thing, or is this just that they like, are they bulkier, like stronger than the other birds?
I wonder that, because I remember it's back when I was living in Panama, there was this bird called the white-necked Jacobin. And it's so funny. I remember watching this attitude, or like watching their behavior. And then maybe like 5 years later, I see David Attenborough has like a whole segment talking about these birds, saying these birds are jerks, actually. And I've seen it. Like, so the way, like they perch and wait near like the hummingbird feeder. And it was like a ruby-throated something, not the ruby-throated hummingbird, a different one, something else. I just remember it had a ruby throat. That's not its name. But yeah, we just wait. And then if it came through, like they just mob deep, like squat up, fight them away. I've seen the same thing with blue jays when there have been like owls around. I've definitely seen an owl in a tree once chilling. And then all of a sudden, why are cardinals and blue jays kind of attacking it? So there's that. As far as like on your feeder, when I would feed birds from my balcony and have a very up and close look at them, I did notice that the mockingbird loved the apple. The only bird to ever eat like the fruit was the mockingbird. All the other birds went for the sunflower seeds. So a suggestion that I would make, if you don't want to like, keep picking up feathers or like stopping bird fights from happening in your yard, provide a variety of food options for them, and like actually pay attention to which birds prefer which types of food. So orioles, for example, like you need to have some oranges out there to, to start to attract them and whatnot. And then other types of feeders like flat feeders versus the perching feeders. So I don't know, you didn't ask that, but just a quick little aside, if people are frustrated with that and they don't, the birds don't need to fight, well, maybe just provide a better space for them.
Yeah. You know what I heard super recently that I had no idea? Apparently birders knew this, but I didn't know this whole time. I heard that birds can't taste spicy. Like, that they don't have the right receptors for capsaicin. So, like, spicy does not register at all with them. So, I learned that a lot of times people who are, like, frustrated by squirrels will put, like, pepper seeds, like jalapeno seeds and stuff in their feed, because the birds will eat it and they don't care. It's nothing to them. But a squirrel will pick it up and be like, oh no!
Oh, I have heard that before, but I never put two and two together.
It was so recently that I was like, oh, this actually totally makes sense. It's an interesting way that you can feed the birds something that a squirrel will be like, absolutely not.
Also, this is upsetting to me because I swear to you, 2 days ago, I was at Home Depot buying some bird feed, like suit feeders. One of them is definitely marketed. It's like spicy feed. It's like, wait a minute. So if they can't taste it anyway, this is marketing. And this is marketing. That's all this is. What do you mean?
They should sell them in the Flamin' Hot Cheetos color scheme. Like sell them in like a bright orange bag.
You may as well. I've been gypped.
When are they going to start selling like flavored, like mango chili bird seed, garlic parmesan bird seed?
Listen, I don't know if you want to cut that part out of the episode because that's a good enough idea to take care of my student loans. You got to patent that.
You would catch me eating birdseed by the handful at 3 a.m. Yep. like a bag of shredded cheese. Just
the birds on the outside looking in like, that's for us.
Like, I think I'm like, no, this isn't about you. Don't worry. This bag was $3 for 80 pounds. I think I'm good. Times are tough. You got to start snacking on birdseed. It helps to be, because you mentioned that blue jays are cool with like whatever type of nest. They'll kind of nest wherever. I think it helps to be a generalist. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like when you're not super picky about where you'll nest or what you'll eat. Like if you can kind of adapt and this is a corvid thing too, like being very adaptable and being very like able to slot into different ecosystems. I think there's like a lot of benefit to being cool with whatever.
That brings up a question. you don't have to answer this in my mind. I'm going to Google this afterwards. Why haven't we seen the same thing with blue jays that we've seen with European starlings? Since they're highly adaptable, like they can essentially function where they are, very intelligent. Why have we not seen that, other than the fact that they're not themselves not moving, but the European starling that was introduced? So just a food for thought. Curious. I wonder why.
Yeah. And the European starling was brought over from Europe, right? And I don't know of a lot of instances of American animals being brought and introduced to Europe, except for like, I think squirrels were introduced, right? Like,
I think so. I had a German friend tell me like, we don't have squirrels at all. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have squirrels?
How do you know?
I don't get it.
Who doesn't have squirrels?
I don't. And that's fascinating to me. So meanwhile, all your European listeners are like, huh, you untraveled, unseasoned fools. Oh, no. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm like, okay, all right. Take your birds back. But I would like to say, because we moved out here to Washington last year, and I do miss blue jays, actually. They're very nice to see. I do wish they would expand a little bit this way.
That would be. Just make sure it doesn't mess up the ecology or whatever. Yeah, then who knows?
Hey y'all, we're going to take a quick break to hear from a couple of our friends over on the Maximum Fun Network. When we get back, we are going to talk ingenuity and aesthetics for blue jays, so stay with us.
The Greatest Generation has been going on for more than 8 years, and while it's the world's most beloved Star Trek podcast, we know it can be a little impenetrable.
If you've been Greatest Gen curious but have never taken the leap, you could be forgiven for being a little bit intimidated.
We recommend exploring your Greatest Gen curiosity in a safe, fun environment with partners you can trust. Right now is one of the best times ever to become a new listener.
That's because we just started covering a new series, Star Trek Enterprise, one of the weirdest editions of Star Trek ever released.
This is your chance to ease into the Greatest Generation lifestyle.
The Greatest Generation, now covering Star Trek Enterprise, the one with Scott Bakula, every Monday on MaximumFun.org or in your podcast app.
Hey, Sydney, you're a physician and the co-host of Sawbones, a marital tour of misguided medicine, right?
That's true, Justin.
Is it true that our medical history podcast is just as good as a visit to your primary care physician?
No, Justin, that is absolutely not true. However, our podcast is funny and interesting and a great way to learn about the medical misdeeds of the past, as well as some current, not-so-legit healthcare fads.
So you're saying that by listening to our podcast, people will feel better?
Sure.
And isn't that the same reason that you go to the doctor?
Well, you could say that, but...
And our podcast is free?
Yes, it is free.
You heard it here first, folks. Sawbones, marital tour of misguided medicine, right here on Maximum Fun, just as good as going to the doctor.
No. Still not just as good as going to the doctor, but pretty good.
It's up there.
You mentioned a little bit already that these are clever birds and that they're going to be good at problem solving and they have some really interesting behaviors. So the next category that we actually rate animals on is ingenuity. This is behaviors, things that they're doing, ways that they're solving problems or approaching things in their environment. What do you give blue jays out of 10 for ingenuity?
That I will give them a 10, because I have a belief that beings, not just human beings, but just any beings that are able to communicate with each other, they are more likely to be successful. And case in point, blue jays are, we spoke about this earlier, it escaped me before, but the term is mobbing what they do when there's like a raptor or somebody near a route, and they'll just start going off. So they'll start letting others know and communicating with each other that there is danger or we need to squad up. And I think that's really that's important.
I see them so often kind of like, doing that squawking sound that they do at each other. I think of it as like a laser gun. It's like they're like, like a very sort of like harsh, raspy sort of cry that they're kind of like yelling at each other.
It is a very harsh call, but whatever. That's a rough and tough bird. Okay, so.
Okay, because you mentioned this mobbing behavior, and this is not about blue jays. This is about crows, but it's also about bald eagles that we mentioned a few minutes ago, because it was in the park last week, and we're very lucky to have a park near us that has a pair of nesting bald eagles. And so I was at the park watching these bald eagles circle over this lake, having a great time watching this, and then we see this crow fly up to the bald eagle. And I'm like, oh, he's going to check it out. He flies up to this bald eagle, yanks his tail, and flies away. like just yanks on it and then turns and goes the other way and then does that like 20 more times. And then after he does this for a while, the bald eagle is like, well, this is annoying. I'm going to go somewhere else. Goes over and then like 20 more crows fly out of the trees and they all start just dive bombing this bald eagle out of the air. I was like living. I was so excited. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Who needs Netflix? This is incredible.
That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That's exactly.
I was like, Bridgerton who? This is all the drama I need. This is incredible. I'm watching like some Game of Thrones military tactics happening in the sky right now because these crows were just like, it was almost like one of them chased the bald eagle over to where the rest of them were waiting. And I don't know if that was just coincidence, but it kind of seems like something crows would do.
Yeah, so I've seen what you're describing, but with blue jays, I haven't seen that at all. Actually, with crows, this is on the West Coast. You saw this?
This was up here in Washington.
Okay,
and it was over a lake.
Yeah, and don't y'all have like just ridiculous amounts or far more crows than I will see over here? Correct?
The crow scene over here is wild.
Okay.
It is off the hook. There are so many crows
Okay,
here.
maybe that's why I haven't seen that, because I've seen what you're describing several times with blue jays, and usually for owls though.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So this is down in Florida. I lived in Tallahassee, one of the places I lived in. It backed right up to the train tracks, so I'd walk the train tracks a lot. And when I tell you, there were several years where like I knew when to expect like certain families of barred owls, and I got to see them up like real close and whatnot, at least 2 times that I can immediately come up with right now, where I remember looking off in the distance and I saw cardinals and blue jays before I saw the owl. Because like there was like, what are they going off at? Like, what are they doing? No, they were like attacking an owl, essentially.
And they have beef with owls. What are the owls doing to you?
Right? I'm like, what do you say to me? Yeah. So, I mean, it's it's the same thing. Like, red-tailed hawk, red-shouldered hawks, bigger raptors. So I understand what they're doing, and I support it. Get those bullies out of here.
Listen, I'm pro-hater, I think. I think it's okay, maybe. Maybe the owls need to be knocked down a little bit. Maybe they got a little bit arrogant, and you got to kind of put them in their place. They need some humbling.
Mm-hmm. I do see them in groups. Of course, you'll see your solitary blue jay, but solely when we're talking about like dealing with like predators or maybe owls or hawks, they're rather vulnerable to those predators because like they're not the best flyers, they're not the fastest flyers. Heck, if you ever even think about it, like I can see the blue jay better than I can see some other birds flying because like it is kind of a slow flyer. So that's like one reason why it definitely needs to be on the lookout. And like, you can see how it would develop over time, just like harsher calls, like those raspy calls that really pierce through your ear and that really produces sound that like make you draw pause, or even just learning how to mimic other birds to like protect themselves. So where are we on the adaptability scale? 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Okay, I'm glad you reminded me of that because I did want to come back to the mimicry thing because I think you mentioned that like this is something that they're known for, and I have to say I didn't really know that much. I guess I knew that they could kind of mimic sounds, but I guess I don't know the extent to which they can like mimic other birds. And I know crows and ravens can like kind of like I've seen videos of ravens straight up mimicking speech, so that is like totally par for the course for the family. But like when blue jays are they mimicking other bird calls or like sounds in their environment? Like what does it seem like they're doing with their mimicry?
I believe it's like other calls. So like I keep referring back to it, a red-tailed hawk.
I'm thinking about, how mockingbirds, right, might mimic the songs of other birds to kind of signal to each other like, hey, look how many songs I know. Like, look how successful I am. Look how long I've lived, that I've learned so many songs, and here's all my beautiful songs. But then you'll see things like parrots, which might, mimic sounds to throw off predators or something like that. Like, I'm wondering, like, to what extent this mimicry seems to help blue jays.
As so far as I understand, blue jays, it's only hawks that they're mimicking. They're not mimicking other birds. It's mainly them, and so I'm assuming it's for defensive regions.
I like that. They're kind of like bluffing.
Yeah, like they're not as prolific mimickers as you just mentioned the northern mockingbird, and apparently like the gray catbird is also a really good mimicker. The one goes with the little red butt. They're cute. But let me see. Actually, no, I'm lying. Excuse me, because I very quickly looked it up just to make sure, triple check. Blue jays are also known to imitate a variety of other bird species. This is on abcbirds.org. Blue jays are also known to imitate a variety of other bird species, including the bald eagle and the eastern screech owl. I'd love to hear them imitate an eastern screech owl. I can't picture it.
Also, a bald eagle has such a distinct sort of like a squeaky sound. And I'm wondering how that's going to sound from a blue jay, because they have that like throaty, raspy voice. Exactly. So I'm wondering, like, how is that going to sound? Would I be fooled? I'd probably be fooled, I bet.
That's the point.
I don't think I'd see through it.
That's the point, to confuse you. Yeah.
But that's interesting that they're like only mimicking birds of prey, right? They're like, we know what you're going to be scared by. Like, we know what's going to scare you, and we're only going to mimic like the sounds that might make us sound more intimidating, or maybe just like,
or deter.
Yeah, put you on higher alert. Be like, oh no, there's a predator around. We better shape up. We better act right for a few minutes, because there's someone flying around that's gonna swoop down on us. We don't want that. The last category that we rate animals on that I think the blue jay might be perfectly suited for is aesthetics. It's just how nice is this animal to look at, whether you think it's cute or pretty or cool, or whether you don't think that at all. I'm not going to judge you for it. What do you give blue jays out of 10 for aesthetics?
See, this is difficult for me to answer, because the blue jay is a beautiful, wonderful bird, but a big flat liar, because they're not even blue. So I know, right?
What could you possibly mean by that?
So it turns out, I believe blue, like the color blue in nature, is very rare. And what's essentially happening with their feather, when you see blue on their feathers, same thing for eastern bluebird, same thing for indigo bunting. Think of how the ocean is not really blue. The ocean is just like reflecting the sky. So essentially their feathers, there's something in their feathers that like it reflects the blue spectrum waves. And so that's why it appears blue to us. But I believe like blue jays are actually brown. Like their feathers are actually like kind of brown.
This reminds me of, I think, what's it called? Structural iridescence. Is that what it is? Where it's like I think butterfly scales are kind of like this, where like it reflects light in a way that like to the eye it looks very, very blue. But if you were to, for example, crush them into a powder, the powder would be gray.
Right. Okay.
It's because like it's the structure of the material itself that reflects light to make it look blue. But like the material itself is not blue. Like I feel like I've actually had this problem with nail polish. I had some nail polish that when it was on, it had the most beautiful, gorgeous, like blue, purpley sheen color. Mm-hmm. But it, like if I accidentally dropped some of it, it would be like gray and brown and look disgusting, because it's that like weird structural iridescence.
Is it kind of like the boat-tailed grackle, like that iridescence you're talking about, where it's like purple but blue and green?
Yeah, but like it has to be structured in such a way to make that color.
Mm-hmm. This is where we need the biologist.
But they are, like, when you see them, they are so gorgeous. They're just, the crest is doing so much for me, I think.
For me, it's the patterns on their feathers. It almost looks like checkers between white, blue, and black. And like it almost looks like little rectangular patterns going all throughout their tail feathers. And then when they open and then when they fly away, that is one of the most pretty sights. Like that will, I break for birds. You know, like driving. Mm-hmm. Probably not the safest thing, but you know, I definitely break for birds. And yeah, you can't not love how the blue jay looks. You know, like put aside your beef with the color blue, but this is just a striking bird, period, because it doesn't have to be giant. It's like wingspan of like what, 2 feet? Not a huge bird, but beautiful features and incredibly like dynamic to like watch and listen to. So I guess whatever. I'll give it a 7 on the. What was it? The scale, the sexy scale,
aesthetics.
The aesthetics. Okay, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's interesting that they are such like not just bright blue, but also like high contrasting, like you mentioned, bright like blue, black, and white. Mm-hmm. Because where's the camouflage? You know what I mean? Like what you are very conspicuous. You are like showing off. Look, I'm right here. I'm so cool, right? Like, and a lot of birds of that size that maybe aren't so buff, and it seems like maybe camouflage isn't terribly important to them, which is bold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a fair point. My only side to that was, what do they need to camouflage from? Like, what else do they need to develop that I feel like they've checked off those boxes. Like, we're good. We know how to mimic, and anybody comes through, we just holler a certain type of way. And I'll look into that. I'll look into that.
I like the idea that, like, they're covered, right? So, like, maybe they can afford to lose camouflage and not need to worry about crypsis so much, because they're like, well, we've got strength in numbers, we've got communication with each other. Like, they have other ways of defending themselves, so they can have a little more wiggle room, and they can experiment more with their look.
Right. And I'm not sure I'm no entomologist, but I'm curious about the vision of insects. And so when thinking of blue jays and like their prey, so like, they're omnivores, so nuts and insects, plants and meats or whatever. But yeah, I wonder about that. Like, can insects perceive them, see them? Or how does that play into their diet or their ease in finding viable sources of food?
Right, like, are they getting a jump on the insects that they're hunting? Or I would even wonder, in the other direction, like, can their predators see the color blue? I mean, I would imagine other visual predators would probably be able to see the color blue, like birds being very good at seeing colors. They might be pretty good at seeing the color blue. But I would wonder if the colors have a different implication for not just humans, right? Like, how other animals can see them.
Should I Google this? Because this is a podcast. I feel like we should be answering questions, not asking them.
Oh, no, I always ask questions I'm not prepared to answer.
All right, fair.
These are just for the ether okay, out there. Food for thought, jumping points for I have had people before listen to the podcast. At some point, we ask an open-ended question that we did not have an answer to. It was just like, oh, I wonder, wouldn't this be cool if we knew the answer to this? And they did a research paper on it and then sent it back to me.
I thought you were going to say they put in the comments.
No, they were like, I didn't know either, so here's my paper where I studied it. I was like, dang, that rules.
That really, now that's cool. Oh, wow.
That was cool. So often with science, with animals, there's not going to be an answer, right? Like, or nobody knows the answer. So Opportunities for learning, opportunities for research, springboards maybe, food for thought. Brain teasers?
Yes.
I think of blue jay as being like the hallmark bird. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to see like a postcard or like a greeting card, if it's going to have a bird on it, a blue jay is like a safe bet usually.
Yeah, it's not a blue jay. Some hummingbird that's probably not even real, like just someone put colors that, like, you know how you see this with toucans all the time, because like I'll see something on TV, like that's not a real toucan, okay? That's not a real toucan.
They go nuts with the beak.
They go, I can't, like, what? Like, look, a chestnut mandible toucan does not look like that, okay? Anyway, point for me. But yes.
Are you the person watching like The Lion King and stuff and like pausing it every few seconds to be like, actually?
Actually, yes. Yeah.
I pulled up some pictures of blue jays just to get a good sort of comprehensive view. And I'm sorry, it's a different story from the front. If you view one of these guys from head on, it's a little messy. Like a blue jay, like from the front, if you're not seeing them from like the good angle to the side, if you see them from the front, they look like so mad. They look so angry.
Are you going to share this picture? Because I want to see it too now.
Let me show you the picture I'm looking at, because this little dude, he looks so mad. There you go.
Awesome.
Look at him.
And for those listening, we are currently looking at a very confused looking bird. The most adorable of warbs. Those wings are, it's so cute. Those wings are absolutely stunning to me. Absolutely stunning.
A little jewel. Mm-hmm. Nature's little jewelry.
Yes.
Okay, so Dara, this has been very fun. I've had a lot of fun learning about blue jays with you. I would love it if you could let people listening know where they can go next. Where can people follow along with your work? Do you have a social media, or like where can people go next?
Absolutely. So yes. So again, everybody, thank you for listening so much. You humble me and flatter me. My name is Dara Miles Wilson. You can find me almost anywhere at Grandmaster Dara. That's just my go-to. No, I do not play chess, but I am learning. A grandmaster is a professional at chess, FYI.
Are you on chess.com?
No.
You can get that. Okay, I have a 10-year-old, and he's extremely into chess, and he plays on chess.com, and it is apparently a very serious scene.
Would he be mad at me for calling myself a grandmaster, though I am not good at chess?
No, I mean, he calls himself a grandmaster, and he's 10.
Okay.
I'm sure there are 10-year-old grandmasters, but he's not among them. But I'm a professional. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Well, solid. Well, Grandmaster Dara on Twitter/X, Instagram. Feel free to, of course, reach out to me. Also, of course, I have to put this plug in for the Black AF and STEM Collective. You can find us on all the main social media platforms at Black AF and STEM. And thank you so much for providing this platform, this opportunity for me to share about myself, me to share about the Blue Jay, for us to talk about Black Birders Week, to kiki a little bit. And I'm just so grateful. This was a really fun conversation.
Oh, I'm so glad. This has been really fun, and I really appreciate you. I will have links to everywhere where people can go in the episode description, so people can just scroll right through and click through to the socials and to the website. Also, highly recommend following on socials because, like you were mentioning, Black Birders Week has a lot of online events that go on all week long. I have found that this is a great way to build your following list. Like if you are looking for more naturalists and more nature-based accounts to follow on social media, great way to fill out your following list. Like a lot of really fascinating people to follow through there. So please do follow on social media because that's where you're going to get announcements for events and things that are going on throughout the week and get to know cool people. So there will be links to everything in the description so you can just scroll through and click through. Dara, thank you again so much for your time and your energy and your wisdom. This has been a really great time. We will talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for listening. I hope that Blue Jays have mobbed your heart. If you liked what you heard today, I hope you leave behind some kind words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. If you want to hang out with us online, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Links to everything will be in the episode description. You can send me an email at ellen@justthezooofus.com if you have a cool animal you'd like to hear us talk about on the show. We would like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside the other amazing shows like the ones that you heard promos for here today. You can go check those out and learn more about the network and how you can be a part of supporting our show over at MaximumFun.org. Finally, we would like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music. That's all for today. We'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Audience supported.